Society Matters.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Carin, and I'm here with Sami. This podcast is a production of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County. And on today's episode of It's All About the Children, Sami and I are going to talk all about the children. So let's start with this. Sami, you've been away. You're quite the traveler, are you? You were just on a tour in Chicago and Las Vegas.
Correct.
Very busy guy. Can you tell us a little bit about some of that? I would love to know more.
Well, I would like to talk about Stand With Us.
Okay.
Stand With Us is an organization, the only one that I know of, that prepares young people, especially with high school.
Okay.
When they go to college, how to answer all the misrepresentation and the lies.
Wow.
Okay. So it's not a social group. It could be, but it's mostly okay to feel proud and to become leaders. This was the 25th anniversary of Stand With Us. I was treated extremely well. They had exceptionally good speakers. There was somebody from UAE that spoke pro-Israel. Montana Tucker was there.
Oh, fun.
And some other very famous people. The interesting part is that at the end, and they put me on a chair and I was...
I thought you were having a bar mitzvah. All of a sudden I'm like, what? I didn't get invited to the bar mitzvah.
But one of the students from Texas and other people told me that they heard it several times. He made a very comment, and I'm paraphrasing, but very close to what that person said, is that this is Sami's world, and we live in it. This is the second best compliment I ever got. The first one, the best one, is from Chabad. And they said, you are like a menorah. You bring light where there is darkness.
That is beautiful.
So it's I'm very honored the fact that young people feel that way about me when I give presentations, and they already, a few of them contacted me. They already are trying to arrange for me to speak at Tulane in other places.
So this organization, Stand With Us, they reached out to you, and both of these events in Chicago and in Vegas were with them? Wow. So have you worked with them and gone around in different schools in New York City or in other states?
Yes, I have worked with Stand With Us. They have a coordinator here in New York called Max. Tomorrow, I'm going to school with him that he arranged. Okay. And at the same time also, I have in Florida. I also have somebody.
Okay. All right. So you're making your rounds. Now, a question for you. In all of the states that you're speaking now, when you talk and you speak, you tell your story and the kids ask questions. I'm just curious. What are some of the interesting questions that these children are asking you?
One of the questions that they asked, about God, if I still believe in God.
Oh.
And basically, I tell them that a lot of people, because of the Holocaust, have become agnostic. A lot of people, because of the miracle that they survived, the miracle of the establishment of the State of Israel, have become religious. My answer is that God had nothing to do with it. Those crimes have been committed by educated people. So when the teachers are at the presentation, I tell them, do not teach them just the mind, teach them the heart also. And basically, in my particular case, the Holocaust had no impact on me. which means that I grew up the Orthodox way. Today, I'm not practicing it.
Oh.
But on the other hand, I still believe in God. And the unfortunate part is, in today's society, is that God has been taken out from schools. And you always have to believe in something more than you yourself. And I ask the kids, okay, who is the most important person in your life? And most of the kids say, my parents,
Okay.
the teacher. And I say, no. There are only 3 letters. Y-O-U.
It's true.
Okay? Everything starts with you. And I tell them, if you want to be loved, learn to love
give
yourself.
love.
You want to be respected, learn to respect yourself. So I teach them that everything starts with them. And I do not belittle anybody, because that's not a reflection on that person. It's a reflection of who I am. And I teach them to elevate somebody else, because then 2 people will be very happy. The person that is elevated and the person that doesn't.
Those are really hard lessons. And I think, no, it's tough, because if you grow up in a community or in a home or an environment where that's not what the message is, then you go out into the world and you do very different things. And we were talking earlier, about the influence that we have over the children, because they are very influential. And just like when you spoke and you touched this kid and he came to you and he shared how he felt about living in your world, I sometimes think, that God did put me in this place and space because I'm supposed to do something, right?
Are you trying to get spiritual?
You know what I do? I do love my faith a lot, but I don't know that I would bring it into schools, only because I feel like then it kind of becomes a little bit muddy. But I have had students that have said to me, Muslim students, in fact, that they like to learn about Judaism because they like our religion. But their parents are teaching them that Jews are bad. And these children are 8. And I wonder what our responsibility is to help those children, because children are very innocent and they believe what they're told. And so while it's nice that you and I talk about this and we share it with other people, how do we spread the message even wider? How do we, I don't know, how can we change the world for these little people? Because
I have one answer.
What's your answer?
Just be yourself. Your true self. Don't be afraid to talk. And, your love and everything else will shine. And they will get something out of it, whether you know it or not. You never know how you're going to reach somebody. And I can give many examples that, unbeknownst to me, okay, I've reached somebody that I never knew that it would happen. I was able, by being myself, to change a Holocaust denier to give me a hug. But it was not something that I planned it or whatever it is. I was just myself, not afraid to talk to them, to tell them what I believe, what I think, and things happen. So kids are very astute. You may not believe it, but they will see, okay, if you're truthful, and your love will shine.
Have you ever gotten like crazy comments from kids or from people when you've gone to a speaking engagement?
No.
Okay.
One of the reasons is because even with the teachers, I tell them I will say A, B, C.
Okay.
But I do not want to surprise them.
Okay.
So I will tell them, if somebody asks me a question, I will completely honest. Okay. I'm not asking anybody to agree with me because I grew up under different regimes. All I'm asking to respect that I may have a different opinion. And because of having that particular statement before I open it up to Q&A, I had a student, an 11th grader, moderate in front of 1,200 students.
Okay.
Not a single Jewish kid. A 7th grader in front of 400 students. Not a single Jewish kid. And I try to elevate young people to become leaders. And especially with the 7th graders. You should have seen the pride.
Yeah.
Okay, the confidence. Okay, of being able to do what I asked them to do. And the kids are very astute, okay? And
so you actually say beforehand that you're going to say these types of things, so that way they're prepared.
I'm not saying exactly what I'm going to say. All I'm putting the preface that I will be very honest.
Because you want people to look at two sides of a perspective, right?
Correct.
That's your goal ultimately, is to have
correct.
someone look at another viewpoint.
I want them to learn, because I'm not only a Holocaust survivor. I'm a survivor like all of us of life challenges. And I don't want them to feel sorry for me. But I want to tell them how I overcame those obstacles so they can learn not to run away from the obstacles, but to face it. And not to dwell on it, to learn from it, deal with it, and move forward. So my life has always been moving forward.
I think that's an excellent message. I think it's pretty hard for some people. I think we talked about it last time. It has to do with your mindset, because people sometimes get stuck into a cycle, and not necessarily in a bad way, but one of the things that I've noticed is hard for me to wrap my head around is how people are not seeing what's happening around them. And then I ask myself, is it because people are choosing not to see it? Or is it because really they're just wrapped up in their life, and to no fault of anybody else, but you're doing your life, your daily grind. You have a family, you have a job, you have this and that. And one day you wake up and you're like, oh boy. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening with me a little bit in New York City. I mean, I've been feeling it for a while, but it's even bigger now. And there are so many things that I'm like scratching my head about that make no sense. And I want to keep on sending these messages to children, but then I sometimes wonder, how can we ensure that these messages come through? So schools right now are places where children are not really being given an opportunity to do what you're saying, which is think. Or at least look at different perspectives, because things are being really framed in ways where it's almost like you have to choose a side. And if you don't choose a side, then something's wrong with you. And as a parent, I'm concerned that my children are being exposed to things, but I'm also very involved. And as an educator, I've seen how things have changed so much, and it makes me very worried for our children.
Well, everything has to do with the environment, and everything starts at home. At the same time, our leaders do not teach young people to take responsibility, and they show them only one side, depending on the parents, their information, where they get the information, what they believe in, and everything else. When I grew up, I always used to debate. Okay, and it was not a competition, but it was just for me to learn, to get information, because nobody has a monopoly on the truth. And by listening to both sides, I was able to make an informed decision and not make a decision based on slogans.
We need to bring back debate club everywhere. Really. Because people should be forced to look at other perspectives. I agree with you. There are no opportunities like that. Or I should say there are none. I don't want to say none. I can't.
Well, look, we all go through difficult times in life. And most of the people try to blame circumstances or other people or as a nation, other countries.
No.
What I'm saying is that I was homeless, so we talked about it.
A little bit,
and basically, I took responsibility. Because it's not somebody else's fault. I made 2 mistakes. And by taking responsibility, I do not have the need to blame. Okay, I do not need to be angry. And I'm a free man. And this is something that our leaders do not do. And this is one of my jobs, is to go to teach them how I overcame my obstacles. Obviously, I'm not going through everything. I'm giving you just 2 examples, and for them to learn.
Yeah, but blame, that's an interesting thing because that's all we do. And this is part of, I think, this narrative, this like victim, this oppressor, oppressee. And it makes me really, really angry because it teaches the wrong messages. And it's just, it's everywhere. Everything is about social justice. Everything is about, who's wrong.
I don't look at the same way. I don't look at that
So
way.
tell me, how do you look at it? I know you're all cup half full every day.
No.
Okay.
It's not cup half full.
Okay.
I am saying is that everything is a choice. The fact that you are here, the fact that we are talking about children is our choice. I did not have to be your co-host.
This is
you
true.
did not have to do it. Everything that you do is a choice. And I tell, for instance, the kids, I live under the poverty line. Okay, I don't want them to feel sorry for me. But the interesting part is I don't have the best of everything. But I make the best of everything I have. And this is basically turning negatives into something positive. Obviously, I have reason to complain if I want to.
Yes.
Okay, I can be angry. I can be bitter. And by changing a negative into something positive, you think in a positive way, and that allows you to move forward without being stuck in the past.
And I completely agree. And when I'm able to practice it, I am in a much better headspace for sure. But then I turn on the news or I see something else that happens. And it's just another thing that adds on to those layers. So while at this level here, we're able to talk and we're able to, share these ideas and things. But when it comes to, like you said, the leaders and the people that could be making and changing these policies, they may not think the way we think. In fact, they don't think the way we think because otherwise policies would be different. I mean, for me, when I think about how we can have an impact on the kids, starting with us, I think is right. But there have to be some laws and some things that are changed because otherwise we're moving a nation into a place where we're just going to tolerate and normalize hate and bad things.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to sound negative. I don't. I don't want to be negative. I want to be like realistic because I also do see a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's also because of the choices that I make.
Well, the only choice that we have, we cannot, think the way other people think. Okay, you cannot, for instance, in my particular case, to give an example, we have to use the proper words because words have, all the tragedies in the world started with words and bullying. You can bully a person, you can bully a group of people. And for instance, if I'm going to tell you about indoctrination,
Okay.
that means something to you. It means something different to me. So when I use certain words, I always explain what it means to me. I don't give them the opportunity to interpret the way they want. I want them to understand where I am coming from. Because if I give them the opportunity to interpret the way they want, we use the same words, but we do not speak the same language.
That is incredible. Yes. That's brilliant. Okay.
Right. So for instance, to give an example of indoctrination.
Okay.
Older children will understand that. I was in the Washington Square Park because obviously I live in Manhattan. And my friend, Zach Sage Fox, his job was to, he's very famous, his job was to interact with the Holocaust deniers, Gen Z, and people from Arab countries, how they feel about Gaza. Interestingly enough, I came to the States in 1968. I served in the Israeli Air Force. Okay. And he approached a woman in the mid-30s from Pakistan. And she called everything, genocide, genocide, genocide. And primarily, she blamed IDF in Israel. And then he turned to me and he said, here, I brought a Holocaust survivor and somebody that served in the IDF. I came here in 1968. She looked at me and she said, you are part of the problem. That is indoctrination, and that's why I start to speak to young people, okay, before they are indoctrinated. They succeeded in campuses. They went to high school and they succeeded. They are right now in middle school. So I start with first graders. First, second graders, I talk about bullying and about hate. Starting with fourth graders, I start to talk about the Holocaust before they are indoctrinated.
So what are the things that we should be looking for? Because I remember we were talking at one point and you said that there are certain things that happen before. So what are the signs? What are the things that we should be looking out for? Parents, schools, educators.
Okay, well, we have to learn from the past. Okay, there were different times in the past that I remember, for instance, when I came to the United States, and there was in the Milwaukee Journal, and they had a topic, but they had in the middle was the main topic they were talking about.
Okay.
And on both sides, they showed both sides, pro and con.
Oh.
And you could make an informed decision.
Wow.
Okay, not based on slogans. Today, I don't see it. And we have to learn from the past. And each one of us has a very, very strong voice. I, by myself, am not going to make a difference or the big change. Okay, I may make it at that particular presentation that I'm giving, and I will make changes. But in a larger scale, I can't influence. So that's why we have to be united, and we have to say the same thing. Take an example from the Democrats. Whether you like them or not, it's irrelevant. But somebody comes out with a particular word, and everybody, in unison, they say it over and over and over. And it becomes part of the way people think.
I know.
And that's what we have to do. We are not united. We do not speak with one voice. And we have to bring the media with us. Without the media, nothing will be accomplished. And we also have, in a certain way, I don't know how it can be done, but we have to educate the teachers.
Okay, so you know what I would like to do? Do you think that we can continue on this topic? Because I feel like if we expand on just this, we could probably have a whole other episode. Because we're going to come to the end soon, and I wanted to start to wrap up a little bit.
Then I want to do something.
Oh, okay. What? You got that? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I got to adjust it a little bit,
Okay.
Sammy. Okay.
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 You have a hat that says Baruch Hashem.
Baruch
Okay,
Hashem.
thank God. And basically, okay, it means, okay, being a proud of who you are, being a proud Jew.
Yes.
On the other hand, I teach young people, okay, and everybody, not to be afraid to talk. And that is what I say, no fear.
Baruch Hashem.
And okay, and there is, okay, a story about no fear, why it's so
Okay,
important
so you know
to
what?
meet.
Why
But
don't
we can do it on the next
We'll
day.
start with that. So I want to thank you all for tuning into this episode of It's All About the Kids on hmTV. And I appreciate you coming to listen to me and Sammy and for sharing some insight on this topic. If you enjoyed exploring the information, history, and stories in today's conversation, be sure to check out other podcasts here on hmTV. Please subscribe, share, and stay connected for more engaging conversations. And until next time, take care and be well.